Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to the channel. In this video, brand new from Carrera, it's the VW T2b Bus. Fairly recently, I found this picture posted on the internet and was completely over the moon because this is Carrera's VW T2b campervan stroke microbus. Now, I have a vested interest in this. We'll get to that in a little while. But I set about trying to find out when I'd be able to get one of these in the UK. Contacted all the model shops and they all said the same thing. The Carrera UK distributor is rubbish at telling us anything. We haven't got a clue. It may be soon, it may not. We don't know. So, knowing that they were available in Austria, I contacted my friend Nico, Slot Car Dude, and he managed to buy one and then post it to me, so I've got one. Hooray! Thank you, Nico. Brilliant. I really do appreciate that. Now, before we go any further, I want to address the issue of T2b. Yes, it is a T2b, but I'm going to call it a late bay because that's what I call it. Now, the pre-1967 VW bus had a split in the windscreen and was called a split screen bus, affectionately. After that, VW updated it and put a big wide windscreen on it that looked like a bay window. So these are called bay window campervans. And there were in fact two flavours of these. Ones that were made up until about 1972 and ones that were made from about 1974 onwards. The ones in between are called crossovers. Other ones logically are called early bays, and the 74 onwards are called late bays. And this model is a late bay, so go with me here. So here it is in its box from Nico, possibly at the moment one of only a handful in the UK. I have to say it does look lovely. First impressions are, I have to say, they've done a really good job of this. There's quite a lot of detail, more than I was expecting. Of course, it's got the world's longest screw in it, holding it onto the base. There we are. So for completeness, we should probably go through what's in here for people who don't know. If you haven't had a Carrera before, they give you a little bag of bits in the back. You know, assorted instructions and things. A spare black guide and a red guide if you want to run it on a shallower groove, maybe scale electric track. A couple of braids. Fairly standard stuff. The van itself, yeah, that's pretty smart, really. I'm glad they chose this livery. It's a van that people who are in the Volkswagen scene will recognise fairly instantly, and it's a service van, so you know, I think it does the right sort of job. They've done a lovely job on the paint. The underneath is fairly interesting, that's for sure. But yes, overall, brilliant. Lots of nice detail on that front. I'm very, very impressed with this. Even the driver looks cool with his shades on in there, look. It's got this kind of interesting bit of deep chassis. This is obviously to try and lower the centre of gravity a bit, because these vans, as standard, not that you see many standard ones anymore, are quite high off the ground. And actually, proportionally, I think that looks about right. I should probably declare my hand here at this point. This is my 1977 late bay. This is what it looked like 22 years ago when I bought it. So yeah, I've done a few things with the late bay. I've also been running a Volkswagen club for 20 years, put on a few Volkswagen shows, and probably most damning of all, I'm a founder member of this forum. So I know a thing or two about a late bay. I'm that guy. I'm that really annoying guy that knows all the differences. I won't bore you with all of them, but let's just take a look at a few here now. Here is an early bay, made from late 1967 to 72. And here is a late bay, made definitely from 1974 onwards. In between there were some oddities. Now, there are some differences. There's the rear lights, the rear air vents, the front indicators, and of course the bumpers. Now, there's a lot more differences. These are the main ones. I could bore on about this for days, but this is a slot car channel, so let's get back to the slot car. And you're expecting me to now pick up this model and completely rip it to pieces for not being the best detail. Now, got the vents right. We've got the lights right. We've got the bumper right. They've got the front bumper right, although it probably could be a little bit better. And they've got the indicators in the right place. And they have a flush fitting filler cap. That's important as well. I didn't mention that. Now, what's not quite right? Well, they've painted those two bits silver. Now, I'm being picky. On the later ones, they were black. Doesn't really matter. The windscreen wipers, well, a lot of those were black on the later ones as well, but that's up for debate. This front bumper, I say, it's mostly right, but it should probably wrap around the corner a bit more, and the deformable panel on the front means the front bumper should probably stick out nearly as much as the back one does. Overall, the rest of that looks pretty much right, and if I'm being really picky as well, I suppose the biggest fault is the recess for this sliding door handle. You can see the recess goes upwards. That's an early bay sliding door, where everything else is a perfectly detailed late bay. So instead of going up, that should go down. But that really is it. Other than that, they've got all of these other details, as far as I can see, exactly right. It's just that one. Slightly annoying, but probably only to me. It is a thoroughly good model. I'm very impressed. I think Carrera have done a truly fantastic job on a vehicle that a lot of us have been waiting for somebody to make any kind of model of for years. Right, that's enough of that. Let's get to taking this thing apart and seeing what's inside. Usual Carrera thing, 4 screws, 1 in each corner. And that's where it stops being the usual Carrera thing. It is incredibly fiddly to get the front of this detached from the body. And I'll show you why. For some reason, Carrera have put these 2 little forward-facing tabs on the front of the chassis, and they are supposed to locate into those 2 slots in the front of the body. Well, that's fine, except that the body posts also have to locate into these, which are recessed cups. So there's no way you can pull it back and up at the same time, because the posts restrict the tabs. So you have to force it slightly, which I don't think is very good. There is, however, plenty of grease in this, lots of white grease. You can see it everywhere. Somebody's even tried to run this as a test, so there's a little spray line of white grease there. There is a huge amount of grease in the front bearings. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen quite so much. Well done, Carrera. Usual Carrera guide on the front. The braids maybe not the best design, but as a thing it works. 2 magnets in it, as with all Carrera cars, and this is at present an analog Carrera car. So underneath this big mass of wires is the analog chip. Now you're thinking, why is there an analog chip? Well, that's because it controls all of the lights and those kind of funky functions that go on. But if we undo that screw, and unplug all these plugs, we can swap it for a Carrera digital chip. It's a straightforward plug and play replacement. Well, screw out, screw in and play replacement. Nice and straightforward to do. So there it is, swapped over with all the plugs swapped over as well. You can't get it wrong. All the colours match all the way across. There's the old one. You can see it's very different. The other thing I forgot to mention is there's a blanking plug in the bottom that you have to pop out so that the digital sensor LED pops through the hole there. Other than that, straight swap. So now I'm going to put all these wires back in here and fight a little bit with this somewhat annoying body shell. Try and get this thing back together. No, I can't really see those front tabs lasting very long. Enough of that. Let's go to the track. So, straight off, I've left the magnets in, and I'm not trying to set a fast lap, and I'm not looking for a time, and I don't care, because this is a proper slot car. It's a toy that runs really well. It's very top heavy. I don't think you'd probably really want to take the magnets out, unless you were real hardcore and trying to tune it up. But it can be a little bit flighty on the corners. As I say, high centre of gravity. It's also got very skinny tyres on it, so the contact patch is probably no more than about 3.5–4 millimetres wide on each tyre. But it runs ever so smoothly and ever so quietly. And it's a really chilled out thing to do. It's very much like driving a late bay camper van, to be honest with you. This is a slot car to be driven, not a machine to be raced. And it is so much fun. I am just... If you just want to while away a few moments and take the stress out of your day, get one of these and just run it around the track with the magnets in. It's real relaxing fun. Mindless entertainment, as they say. Oops. So there we are. The VW T2b Late Bay by Carrera. Should you get one? Well, if you're a Volkswagen person like me, yes, you probably should, because it's really quite a good model, and that doesn't always happen with Volkswagen models. Should you get one if you're a slot car enthusiast that just likes slot cars? Yeah, you should. It's real fun. Should you get one if you've got grandkids? Yeah, look, it's a Volkswagen bus. The kids all love it. Should you get one if you're one of these people who's a hardcore tuner of slot cars for racing and everything else? I think, yes, you definitely should. Because this slot car will remind you what slot cars are really about. Yes, it's about fast times and racing, but it's not. Slot cars are about fun. This slot car is all about fun. And if you fancy one, I suggest you snap them up pretty quick, because I don't think they're going to last very long. They're going to be popular. There's 2 releases and a limited edition German release for toy shops only at the moment, but Carrera have just announced that at the end of this year there's going to be 2 more liveries of this. And knowing what Volkswagen people are like, we can't just have one Volkswagen. We end up having lots of Volkswagens. So in terms of a verdict, I think we'll leave it to our dear old friend, Mr. Thumbs Up Man. And of course, he thinks it's great. As always, thanks for watching one of my videos. If you liked it, you will find a button specifically for that. Please subscribe to the channel, it really does help. And if you hit the bell, you'll get a notification the next time I post another video. And check out this slot car channel. Of course, it's Slot Car Dude. Thank you, Nico. You were a great help making this video. Everyone should go check out his channel. He's got great content.